Distinguished friends and colleagues of the United Nations Association of Germany, I am delighted to help launch this workshop series on this important anniversary. The United Nations, born this very day 75 years ago. It was a global multilateral response to two devastating wars and the consequences of nations not being able to resolve their differences through peaceful means. While today's world is in many ways safer, the nature of threat is different and growing. Unresolved regional and cross-border tensions, a breakdown in the rule of law, radicalization and violent extremism, unprecedented forced displacement, global pandemics undermining social cohesion, absent or co-opted state institutions unable or unwilling to resolve grievances, illicit economic gain, and the scarcity of resources exacerbated by climate change are all now driving conflict and tensions. And over the past few years, we have seen people come out onto the streets to protest racism, discrimination, injustice, inequality, and a damaged climate. In these challenging times, it may be natural to feel disillusioned or even helpless. But there is hope. Firstly, the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals remain an inspirational guiding light and a compass as we build justice, peace, prosperity, and inclusion. But we cannot take for granted that the trajectory will be positive. Germany's Federal Minister for Economic Cooperation and Development, Dr. Gerd Müller, highlighted that the pandemic may indeed lead to riots, to instability, or even civil war in fragile states. 3 weeks ago, I addressed the UN Peacebuilding Commission. I highlighted how millions of people continue to be excluded, deprived of their dignity, security, rights, and opportunities. I shared my frank concern on the need for scaled-up, consistent investment in Sustainable Development Goal 16 to help build more inclusive, just institutions that are responsive to the needs of people. Secondly, our approach to peace and human security must make more use of innovation and digital technologies to build more resilient communities. During the pandemic, UNDP has used the power of digital to help countries fight the pandemic, from helping government offices to function remotely in Sudan, a country seeking a peaceful and democratic transition, to tracking the virus with an app in Cabo Verde or Mauritius. And Germany is our leading strategic partner in our journey of innovation through the support that it provided and the investments in establishing the UNDP Accelerator Labs. The labs are currently supporting 78 countries and soon will be operating in 110 countries to explore, experiment, and grow new solutions to complex challenges, to build better lives in stable, prosperous environments by focusing on the future of development, using sense-making tools, solutions mapping, and searching for new ideas in the countries and the communities we work in. For example, the lab in Rwanda has helped to roll out robots, perhaps surprising, but very relevant in COVID-19 treatment centers to minimize contact between patients and health workers. And our UNDP Accelerator Lab network is working in the Sahel region to join the dots between insecurity in the region and livelihoods, an effort also supported by DMZ. Or in Mexico, where together with GIZ, our Accelerator Lab is exploring insights into people's behaviors and choices to better understand the social and security challenges that women are facing in Mexico City. Finally, we cannot achieve peace or prosperity if we are blind to the complex links between climate change and conflict. It is estimated that 1 billion people today are now highly exposed to climate hazards, of which 400 million are exposed to low levels of peacefulness or essentially low level of conflict at the same time. Together, climate change, conflict, and instability are resulting in protracted displacement, complex disasters, and prolonged conflicts. Therefore, UNDP is working closely with partners across the UN family to strengthen the linkages between climate change, peace, and security. Disaster risk reduction should be an intrinsic part of our peace-building and conflict prevention efforts, and nature-based solutions and the green economy hold massive potential to bolster peaceful coexistence, not least in the pathway to recovery beyond COVID-19. In closing, it could be said that the United Nations exists not because nations are united, but precisely because nations have differences, and yes, are divided. But rather than go to war with one another, we need to find better ways to come together with each other and, despite our differences, find solutions. Yes, that may sometimes involve a lot of talking And sometimes the criticism is made that in the United Nations there is a lot of talking. But look at it this way. It is a lot better to be talking with one another than to be aiming guns at one another to resolve conflicts. Indeed, from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights to the global HIV response to helping to end festering conflicts, the United Nations family has set the standards for things we now take for granted far too often. At this critical moment, the choices that countries take together could be the tipping points that transform our development and peace paradigm, our societies, and our planet for the better, or if we fail, indeed for the worse. And making the right choices will be crucial for the 2 billion people who currently live in fragility, conflict, or violence. As we do this, the leadership of countries like Germany, a champion of multilateralism and UNDP's leading donor since the year 2017, will continue to be vital. And together, I believe that the world now has an extraordinary opportunity, despite all the challenges of the last few months, to chart a course towards a more inclusive, a greener, a more resilient and more sustainable and peaceful future, building forward better. I thank you for the opportunity to address you on this occasion, and also thank the United Nations Association for all the support that it has rendered to the work of the United Nations and the aspiration that it has kept alive for these years. Thank you.